Don't trust a hitchhiker, he could be a convict running from the law with a loaded gun. He could be a hitman putting you in danger quicker than you could dial 911. You know you can't trust. You know you can't trust.
Hey everybody, this is Warren Huart, one of my favorite people. He's a great guitar player, great producer, has a bunch of studios, and he just engineered and worked for a long time on the new Aerosmith record. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions about that. But first, I want him to play guitar. And he hires me to play guitar. I'm lucky. So you said something about the Aerosmith record where every single time you made a guitar sound, you had to start from scratch and start over, right?
Yeah, that's the one of the beautiful things about Joe Perry is like there's no resting on any laurels with Joe. It's like Phil, who works with us, knows this all too well, and Sam and Ari and all the assistants, and their life was kind of hell, you know, but in a good way, in a great way for guitar players, because we would get like basically we had a huge live room, a small overdub room, and we would have like half stacks or full stacks going in the live room with close mics, and then of course the room mic for ambience, and then in the overdub room we'd put like small combos, anything from, you know, Pro Juniors and AC-15s and all the usual suspects, to like, you know, really esoteric amps, you know, the obvious like the Silver Tones or the small Gibsons, and then just boutique amps. I remember Marshall had given us or given Joe, those little 5-watt combos. You know, they've reissued them with each one as a different series, like a 60s one, as like a Plexi and a JTM and an 800, and they made these little, no, they weren't 5, they were 1-watt, weren't they? Are they 1-watt combos? And so we had these little amps, and you know, we would get pedals out, different 60s fuzz pedals, DI'd. You know, we'd go from I remember we had like an Arbiter fuzz pedal going straight into the front of a Neve 1073, overdrive the pedal, overdrive the Neve, but then split the signal, have it go to a small combo, which was mic'd, and then go out to a full stack, which one day could have been a Marshall, next day could have been a Bassman, you name it. We'd get this amazing guitar sound, bring up the room mics, get the right blend, everything in phase, all kicking at once. He'd do his part, nail it, do the solo, and then be like, okay, cool, I want to do an overdub. So we'd, you know, pick up a new guitar, boom, start again on the guitar sound. There's no like, you know, this is what he's done his whole life. He's a guitar player's guitar player. We were just talking about the, you know, the greats, the famous guitar players. And I'm sure you've had this experience and you may talk about it. Whenever you meet the great guitar players, all they do is talk about guitars. Yeah, the real ones. Yeah. The Jeff Becks, the Joe Perrys, and the Eddie Van Halens. All they do is go music and guitars. Yeah. They don't go, yeah, look at my amazing collection of, yeah, they do love cars, let's be honest, but they don't talk about like, you know, vacationing in the Bahamas. They don't even talk about hot women, do they? They're geeks. Like they love, the reason why they're who they are is because they love eat and breathe guitar playing.
Yeah, it takes your whole life to actually do it. It really does. That's amazing. It just amazed me that you would have to work that hard for each sound. But it makes sense because the palette is so different. Every guitar sound you hear on one of those records is slightly different, and that's why. Because you start over each time. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
And he's like us. He loves like musical history, and he loves the stories. And I'd heard that story about what's the song on Truth? You know, Ain't Superstitious?
Ain't Superstitious.
Yeah. And that guitar sounds like, and it's like the darkest guitar sound you've ever heard in your life. And the story from Mickey Most, whether this is true or not, but it's a great story, is that that Jeff Beck took a full Marshall stack, you know, 2 4x12s in the head. They stuck it in a cupboard and closed the door. They cranked the amp so it's at maximum volume, and he stood in front of the cupboard with a Les Paul, and they mic'd the door. So it is just like, and it's just, and that sound is like almost no top end. It's just dark, and you're like, how do you get it that dark? So I told Joe that. You know, we were talking, you know, obviously he's a big Jeff Beck fan. I mean, the whole of Aerosmith are Yardbirds fans. You know, you can tell that. And so I told him that, and he's like, fuck it, let's do it. So we got a full Marshall stack, you know, got a plexi head, full thing, closed the door in the live room in Swing House on just like this little overdub room in the back, stuck it up against the thing, and then just stuck a 57 in front of it and put it through a Neve and recorded it.
I'm sure it sounded great.
It sounded great.
Yeah.
It sounded great.
That's a great story.
It was a massive guitar sound though, because it was so much bottom end. When we came to mix it, we had to like wipe out. We still kept the tone, but it was the whole track.
Right.
It was like, use that guitar part on no others, or unless you take the bottom end out.
Yeah, these days we move so fast that a lot of times you don't get to do creative stuff like that. I'd like to do more of it, I really would. Tell me about your studios, because last time I talked to you, you had several. You still have several studios?
We still have several studios, yes. We're quite blessed.
Got one in Hollywood, or 2 in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
So 2 rooms in Hollywood, and then your mix room in Laurel Canyon, right?
Yeah, and then in the mix room in Laurel Canyon, we also have, you know, we have an overdub room, which has a 64 Ludwig in it, so God bless America.
That's awesome.
Phil Allen, who works with me, also plays drums really well. So he goes in there and plays drum tracks. In fact, those 2 songs we just worked on, he's the drummer on both of them.
Yeah, I'm pleased because now you only have to work 11 or 12 hours a day instead of 14 or 15. So
no, I still work 14 or 15. But he does more of the heavy lifting. That's what's so great about it. I get to be like we just were, you know.
Yeah.
Get to do the overview stuff and, you know, and but come like you from a place of experience. You know.
Yeah, look Warren up on the internet. He's a great producer, engineer, songwriter now too. You write a lot of songs too.
Writing a lot of songs, yeah.
We did a bunch of work on X Factor last year. It looks like we're going to do it again this year. He just told me, so looking forward to that. And yeah, thanks for coming. I know you're on your way to another session.
Yeah, and so are you. Well, not on your way, but you're about to start.
Yeah, I got another one coming too. So
busy man.
We're going to play one more little bit and sign off.
All right, I'll start.
Oh, you go ahead. Yeah.
About.
It's a little instrument and I have big fat fingers.
Thank you very much. That was awesome.
You were waiting for a ride by the side of the road.
Tim Satriani there.
It was raining. Couldn't leave you there standing alone.
That stuff great.
I looked you in the eyes and you seemed alright. You know what they say. Don't trust a hitchhiker, he could be a little country. Something to believe in. 'Cause the dreams I have are dying to keep on living. The road is wide open. Thank